One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent.
He would do a lot of foul shit. Like, behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit. Like,
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
190 names just leaked in the Diddy case, and some of them are people you'd never expect. We're talking A-list actors, music legends, and even politicians who've been photographed at the same private events where witnesses claim illegal activities took place. I've spent 72 hours verifying each connection on this list, and what I found will change how you see some of Hollywood's biggest stars. The evidence doesn't just suggest casual associations. We're talking about documented patterns that span years and connect directly to the allegations at the center of this case.
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said,
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 19th.
That's why he says things. He doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says something fabulous and he goes, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party. What is he talking about?
Incense has gone off.
When people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like, he said something to me one time, a long time ago. At Chris Lighty's wedding, he told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of No, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to a girl.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know
He did it.
you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day?
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal.
Last Tuesday at 11:43 p.m., the internet basically exploded. A court clerk accidentally uploaded the unredacted list of 190 names connected to Diddy's case onto the federal database. For 27 minutes, anyone could download it before officials realized the mistake and took it down. But those 27 minutes changed everything. People grabbed screenshots, shared files, and within hours, the list was everywhere. The shocking part, nobody expected these names to come out. Now the judge had specifically ordered them sealed until the preliminary hearing next month. This wasn't supposed to happen, and the panic that followed tells us everything about who has something to hide. I talked to someone who works at the courthouse, and they told me the phone started, ringing off the hook at midnight. Lawyers for celebrities on that list were calling screaming, demanding the documents be removed from anywhere they appeared online. But it was already too late. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. The day after the leak, 12 separate emergency motions hit the court. Each one from different high-profile attorneys trying to block these names from being mentioned in future court filings. One motion came from a lawyer representing 6 A-list actors. Another came from a management company that handles 15 music industry names on the list. They're not just worried, they're terrified, and here's what makes this list so damaging. It doesn't just show who partied with Diddy once or twice. The documents include a detailed breakdown of attendance records spanning from 2008 to 2023. We're talking about guest lists, private jet manifests, security logs, and even receipts from caterers. The paper trail is massive. Some celebrities show up at over 30 different events where witnesses later claimed illegal activities took place. What's really causing panic is how the investigators organized this information. They created categories based on frequency of attendance and level of involvement. Category 1 is basically people who might have attended a few events but have no direct connection to the allegations. Category 4, those are the people who allegedly participated directly in the activities described by witnesses. And let me tell you, some of the names in Category 3 and 4 shocked even veteran entertainment reporters. The first names that jumped out belong to 3 actors currently starring in superhero franchises. 2 of them appear in Category 2, meaning they attended multiple events where alleged activities occurred. The third appears in Category 3, which indicates they had direct knowledge of what was happening. These aren't D-list celebrities looking for attention. We're talking about people whose faces appear on lunchboxes and whose movies make billions.
And it turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this. The other end of that, every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type of people that are controlling the industry, the attacks that people face from the media if they try to speak out, is always the same. They're called crazy. And an example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown. He was on Disney, and I remember everyone telling us that he was totally insane and deranged when he was saying a lot of things that at the time sounded crazy, particularly about Diddy. Take a listen.
The requirement is you gotta say no to Diddy. If it's new booty in the building, you know he's gonna get it.
Don't take your girlfriend to a Diddy party.
You can take the but he wants you.
Diddy, to me, is the fall guy. We are still seeing a major effort to protect the big names, just like with Jeffrey Epstein.
Tell him the story.
Tell him the story. So we talking about rumors, right?
Yeah.
And we, when you Google his name, there's a rumor that pops up that he was Diddy's boy toy.
Oh shit!
Right?
Wait, so this is
so Charlamagne said
it's not true. But I told after he brought up the stuff with you, I said, you know what 50 gonna say when he meets you?
Oh no, I don't know that was going on.
You know,
I can't wait to run into him again.
See, what you gonna say to him?
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
You know what 50 gonna say to you when he sees you? What? I heard Diddy touch your butt.
Yeah. Wait till I see him. Wait till I see him. I'm like, yo. Yeah.
What's happening with Puffy? I know you're not really tapped in, but what
the last thing I saw was like a guy there. He was like, yo, he like pushed me into the truck. It really hurt. And he sodomized me. Like he sodomized me. I was like, yo, look. I could find other things to do for money.
Then there are the musicians. 7 Grammy winners appear on the list, with 4 of them in Category 3. One rapper who's built his entire brand on being family-friendly appears in 14 separate event logs between 2012 and 2020. The text messages between him and Diddy included in the court documents use coded language that investigators believe referred to specific illegal activities at these gatherings. The television personalities might be the most surprising. 3 morning show hosts, 4 reality. Competition judges and 2 late-night personalities appear on the list. 1 daytime talk show host appears in Category 4, with phone records showing they called Diddy 37 times in the 3 days surrounding one particularly infamous party in 2019. Industry executives make up the largest group on the list, 46 names in total. These aren't just random suits. These are the people who decide which movies get made, which artists get signed, and who gets to have a career in Hollywood. 11 of them appear in Category 4, meaning they allegedly participated directly in the activities described by multiple witnesses. What's even more telling is who's desperately trying to distance themselves. My source at a major talent agency told me they've lost contact. With 4 clients who appeared on the list, these celebrities have gone completely off-grid, not even taking calls from their own management teams. They're hiding because they know what's coming. The names on this list connect in ways nobody expected. People who publicly claim to barely know each other appeared together at 20 different private events. Celebrities who portrayed themselves as rivals were regularly flying on the same private jets to the same remote locations. But the real shock isn't just who's on the list. It's what these people are frantically trying to hide from the public. Their connection to Diddy is just the beginning. The activities they allegedly participated in, the things they witnessed and never reported, and the victims they potentially ignored. That's what has Hollywood in complete panic mode right now.
He would do a lot of foul shit. Like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit. Like hating on, like doing things with people I'd done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it. So they want the girls after you're done with them and shit.
Yeah. Leftovers.
Yeah.
You take your leftovers. A lot of niggas have my leftovers.
Honestly, was not offended by what I was offended by. This is
wow, they found Kendrick and Wifey.
That's obviously doing shopping. They got the same outfit.
Yeah, it's true.
In public.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt. That's a nice shirt. All right, so when he said the shopping line in real life, what did you say?
I said, let me get away from him. Because it was like, he was like, yo, you hot now. Now we got to hang out now. Like, hang out. Yeah. He said, I don't know, maybe I'll take you shopping and I get you some flash and you could give me the hood shit. And I was looking and I was like, let me just move away from him because I'm gonna mess up the wedding. I always say to myself, like,
it was someone's wedding?
It was Chris Lighty's wedding. It was in Miami. Nori's there. Nori knows this because I looked at him like, yo.
Right now, Hollywood is having a complete meltdown behind closed doors. The celebrities named on this list aren't just worried, they're in full panic mode. I spoke with 3 publicists who all told me the same thing. Their phones started blowing, up around midnight when the names leaked. These weren't casual check-ins. These were frantic calls from terrified clients who never expected to be connected to this case. One publicist told me her A-list actor client called her crying at 2 a.m. He claimed he only went to one party at Diddy's house back in 2016, and now his name appears in Category 3 of the court documents. That means investigators believe he had direct knowledge of illegal activities. But here's the thing. My source the investigation showed me photos of the same actor at 7 different events between 2015 and 2020, not just the one time he's claiming. This isn't an isolated case. At least 12 celebrities have already released statements claiming they barely knew Diddy or only attended one event as a favor to a friend. But the evidence doesn't match these claims. The court documents include text messages, photos, and witness statements that directly contradict what they're saying publicly. The biggest sign of panic. Major projects suddenly going on hiatus. 3 films set to begin production next month have been quietly put on hold. The studios won't say why, but industry insiders confirmed to me that it's because lead actors in these projects appear in categories 3 and 4 of the leaked documents. One $200 million superhero sequel has completely stopped pre-production because the studio is terrified their star might be indicted before the film wraps crisis management firms in LA are working overtime. The owner of Hollywood's biggest crisis PR company told me they've hired 15 new staff members just to handle the influx of clients from this case. We haven't seen anything like this since Me Too. She said the difference is that with Me Too, people generally knew if they had something to worry about. With this list, some people had no idea they were even under investigation until their names leaked. What's really telling is how similar all the denials sound. I've read statements from 23 different celebrities and they all follow the exact same pattern. Claim minimal connection, express shock at being included, and hint that they might be victims of false accusations. The wording is so similar that it suggests these people are being coached by the same crisis teams. The most desperate attempts to stay off this list reveal who has the most to lose. One A-list actress who appears in Category 3 has reportedly offered to testify against others in exchange for her name being removed from future court filings. A male singer who appears in 14 different event logs has already hired 3 separate law firms specializing in different aspects of his potential legal trouble. I've identified at least 37 major celebrities who have hired specialized legal teams specifically to fight being named in any further court documents. These aren't just regular entertainment lawyers. These are high-powered criminal defense attorneys who charge upwards of $1,500 an hour. One actor is reportedly paying $50,000 a day to a team of 5 attorneys working around the clock to distance him from this case. The most revealing thing is who's not denying anything. 4 names on the list have gone completely silent. No statements, no social media, nothing. They've canceled appearances, backed out of interviews, and according to my sources, aren't even communicating with their own management teams. This silence speaks volumes about what they might be hiding. Some celebrities are even turning on each other. I've confirmed that at least 3 people named on the list have already provided information to investigators about others who were present at these events. They're throwing former friends under the bus to save themselves, and it's creating ripple effects throughout the industry. People who've been colleagues for years now won't even acknowledge each other at industry events. The most damning proof of panic is how many people are trying to scrub their connections. Social media accounts are being cleaned, old photos deleted, and previous statements about friendships with Diddy are disappearing from the internet. But screenshots last forever, and investigators already have everything they need. But it's not just individual celebrities connected to this case. What's even more shocking are the group connections that nobody saw coming. These people weren't just random attendees at the same parties. They were part of organized networks that operated with specific purposes, and the evidence is painting a picture far more disturbing than anyone initially thought.
I feel like all these years, you've been the only one calling this out.
I look like I've been the crazy guy for a long time.
They said you're a hater. They
You're
said
a
you're crazy.
hater. You're do this. Yeah, and now everybody's complaining. My ass is hurting. There's all this shit that's coming.
50, you can't make jokes about it.
No.
The internet might come for you, bro.
All I'm saying
It might come from
you
you.
see it now. All of these complaints. People were damn, they were and pillaged. This was what was going on, right? And what do I get for I went through years of a hater. You're a hater. You want this and that. I'm just watching. Like I look at things and go, when you see the new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay, I go, oh shoot, like. Then I think about it, I go, that had to be there. So when I was saying that he was missing, he just wasn't actively being out there because they was dealing with that.
Wait, do you think there's truth to the Jay thing? There's no way.
Like that. Look, you know what's like if you say, I have this thing where I'm conflicted when it takes you 20 years to remember something happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I go also 10 years, 20 years later, it comes back. And it's like all of Puff's problems are coming from the ministers touching little boys.
What you mean?
The laws are the way they are because
because of the priests.
The priests touching little boys.
When investigators first started looking into Diddy's connections, they thought they'd find a bunch of random celebrities who showed up at the same parties. What they actually discovered shocked them. These 190 people weren't just party guests. They operated as an organized network with specific roles, responsibilities, and a clear hierarchy. The money trail tells the whole story. Financial records obtained by investigators show over $42 million flowing between people on this list through a maze of shell companies. One actor paid a music producer on the list $3. $5 million for creative consulting, but investigators found no evidence that any actual work was done. This same pattern appears over and over. A female singer transferred $1.2 million to a TV host's private LLC. An A-list actor paid $750,000 to a talent manager's offshore account. All for services that seemed completely made up. These financial connections ran deeper than anyone realized. My source at the investigation told me they found 17 different shell companies that all trace back to the same attorney who himself appears in Category 4 of the court documents. This attorney helped set up a network where money could flow between these celebrities without raising red flags. They thought they were being clever, but they left a paper trail a mile wide. What's really strange is how many of these 190 people share the same small circle of business professionals. 9 different celebrities on the list all use the exact same business manager, someone who doesn't handle any clients. Outside this network, 13 people on the list use the same security company, a firm that's not used by any other major celebrities in Hollywood. 11 different names share the same travel coordinator who arranged private jet services to the exact locations mentioned in witness testimonies. Phone records paint an even clearer picture. During specific time periods when alleged illegal activities took place, the same 23 phone numbers were in constant communication. In the 48 hours surrounding one party, in Miami in 2018, these 23 people exchanged over 450 text messages and calls. The content of many of these messages is now in the hands of investigators, and according to my source, they used coded language to discuss who would attend and what would happen at these gatherings. The most disturbing pattern involves how new people were brought into this circle. Court documents reveal that 8 celebrities on the list were responsible for introducing over 30 other people to these events. They followed the same approach: invite someone to a small, seemingly innocent gathering, then gradually bring them to more private events where the alleged activities took place. 2 actresses who now claim they were victims describe identical stories of how they were slowly pulled into these circles by the same actor who appears in Category 4. The network operated with specific roles for different members. Some were recruiters who brought in new people. Others provided locations, homes, hotels, private islands. Some handled logistics like transportation and security. A few were responsible for making sure no photos or videos leaked from these gatherings. It wasn't just random famous people partying, it was an organized operation. What surprised investigators most was the hierarchy they uncovered. The 190 names fall into clear levels of power and access. At the top sat Diddy, and about 15 others who allegedly knew everything and controlled access to events. Below them were roughly 40 frequent participants who allegedly knew what was happening but weren't organizers. Then came occasional participants, one-time guests, and finally those who were brought in under false pretenses. This hierarchy explains why so many people stayed silent for so long. Those at the top had dirt on everyone below them. If someone threatened to speak out, they risked being exposed themselves. One producer told investigators he wanted to report what he saw at a 2017 party, but was explicitly threatened by someone in the inner circle who had compromising photos of him. The court documents reveal something few people suspected. This wasn't just a random collection of party guests. It was a carefully structured network with different levels of access and involvement. Some people knew exactly what was happening and actively participated. Others might have been on the periphery, seeing enough to know something was wrong, but choosing to look the other way. But among the 190 names, there's one category that's now getting special attention from investigators. A group whose stories paint the darkest picture of what happened at these events and who might finally get justice after years of silence.
How much is this guy trying to get?
I don't know. Like, it's a simple suit situation, but it's like
20 mil. I can say it.
You still have to black his face out. You still have to mimic his voice because he's like,
but his
damn.
voice wasn't even that different.
And a little deeper. I was like, almost like, no, that's you, young buck.
Yo,
I almost felt like it was him. I almost knew who it was. You know what I mean? I was like, nah. You heard what he just said, right? He's like, yo, certain things they let it go by because it's Puff. Like they would look, like he would say stuff, and it's like he wasn't like in the closet, he was like in the hallway. Now you see so much shit that you go, wait. No, this was visible,
He was in the hallway. We saw the video.
You see
we saw that video.
It comes out later. You're like, that's not the closet. That's the hallway. He didn't give a fuck. Like you can tell that he was already.
Nah, New York is dope. Because when Fab, he was like, yo, Fab, we ain't party. Fab was like, nah, we partying tonight.
He's like, no, like, but he didn't party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, they let that one go? Like, I had to say something about it later because I was like, oh, it was
For years, these women tried to speak up. They filed police reports that mysteriously disappeared. They told agents who advised them to stay quiet for their careers. They confided in friends who didn't believe them because everyone loves Diddy. Now, the truth is finally coming out, and it's worse than anyone imagined. The court documents divide the women on this list into two very different groups. The first group allegedly participated willingly in these events. The second group, at least 23 women, are now classified as victims who were manipulated, coerced, or outright forced into situations they never consented to. Their stories follow disturbing patterns that show this wasn't random bad behavior. It was a system. A former Disney Channel star told investigators she was invited to what she thought was an audition for a music video in 2016. When she arrived, there was no camera crew, just Diddy and two men from Category 4 of the list. She was offered a drink that made her feel immediately. Disoriented security footage from that night shows her being helped to a car 3 hours later, barely able to walk. She tried reporting this to her agent, who told her to forget. It happened because that's just how things work sometimes. Another actress, who appeared in 3 major films in 2018, described a similar experience. She was invited to a small dinner party to discuss a potential role in an upcoming project. When she arrived, she discovered there was no dinner and no discussion about any project. Instead, she found herself in a room with 7 men from the list who expected her to participate in activities she never consented to. When she tried to leave, she was told her car had mechanical issues and wouldn't be available until morning. The most common tactic used against these women appears in the statements of 16 different victims. They were photographed at these events, often without their knowledge or while they were impaired. These images were then used to ensure their silence. One victim, a Grammy-nominated singer, received a text with photos of herself in a compromised position after she mentioned to a friend that she was thinking about speaking to a reporter. The message simply read, "Think carefully about your next move." The court documents reveal how women were specifically targeted based on where they were in their careers. The victims weren't random. They were strategically selected actresses between projects, musicians waiting on their next album deal, models, aging out of the industry, women who needed a career boost and had the most to lose by speaking out. The pattern was always the same. Career opportunities were dangled like bait. Private meetings turned into situations they couldn't escape afterward. The mix of shame, fear, and career threats kept them silent. One victim, who was an up-and-coming actress in 2014, was told by a producer on the list that he would make sure she never worked again if she told anyone what happened at a party in the Hamptons. She didn't work in a major production for the next 7 years. The most heartbreaking testimonies come from women who tried to report what happened years ago. One victim went to the police in 2015 with evidence including text messages and photos that proved her story. The case mysteriously disappeared from records. 3 weeks later, another filed a detailed report with her talent agency in 2017, complete with dates, names, and specific allegations. She was dropped by the agency 2 days later for being difficult to work with. What's most shocking is how some victims were labeled as participants for years, only now to be reclassified as victims based on new evidence. 5 women previously thought to be willing attendees at these events have provided statements to investigators describing how they were coerced or manipulated. One, a former model turned actress, explained that she attended multiple events because she was told her family would be harmed if she stopped appearing. Another continued attending because her younger sister was trying to break into the industry, and she was told her cooperation would determine her sister's career path. Of the 23 women now classified as victims, 9 are household names, women whose faces appear on magazine covers, who star in blockbuster films, who perform at sold-out concerts, women who felt they had no choice but to stay silent until now. The stories these women tell are finally being taken seriously, but they also raise disturbing questions about who helped create these situations. The evidence points to an inner circle, a group of trusted individuals who allegedly helped orchestrate these events and keep them hidden from public view for over a decade. The pattern was always the same: career opportunities were dangled like bait, private meetings turned into situations they couldn't escape. Afterward, the mix of shame, fear, and career threats kept them silent. One victim, who was an up-and-coming actress in 2014, was told by a producer on the list that he would make sure she never worked again if she told anyone what happened at a party in the Hamptons. She didn't work in a major production for the next 7 years. The most heartbreaking testimonies come from women who tried to report what happened years ago. One victim went to the police in 2015 with evidence including text messages and photos that proved her story. The case mysteriously disappeared from records 3 weeks later. Another filed a detailed report with her talent agency in 2017, complete with dates, names, and specific allegations. She was dropped by the agency 2 days later for being difficult to work with. What's most shocking is how some victims were labeled as participants for years, only now to be reclassified as victims based on new evidence. 5 women previously thought to be willing attendees at these events have provided statements to investigators describing how they were coerced or manipulated. One, a former model turned actress, explained that she attended multiple events because she was told her family would be harmed if she stopped appearing. Another continued attending because her younger sister was trying to break into the industry, and she was told her cooperation would determine her sister's career path. Of the 23 women now classified as victims, 9 are household names, women whose faces appear on magazine covers, who star in blockbuster films, who perform at sold-out concerts, women who felt they had no choice but to stay silent until now. The stories these women tell are finally being taken seriously, but they also raise disturbing questions about who helped create these situations. The evidence points to an inner circle, a group of trusted individuals who allegedly helped orchestrate these events and keep them hidden from public view for over a decade. The inner circle knew exactly how to keep secrets. They confiscated phones at the door of events. They swept rooms for recording devices. They had guests sign NDAs before entering certain areas. According to court documents, they even employed a professional with counter-surveillance experience to regularly check for hidden cameras or bugs. They created a system where nothing happened without their knowledge and nothing leaked without their approval. 3 members of this inner circle have already flipped court records, show they've been interviewed multiple times by investigators, and have provided evidence against others. One, a former assistant who spent 8 years in the inner circle, handed over a journal documenting dates, locations, and attendees of over 40 different events. Another provided access to a cloud storage account containing photos that corroborate victim statements. The third gave investigators the encryption keys to recover deleted messages from several devices. The most damning evidence comes from the cleanup crew, the people whose job was handling problems after events ended. One cleanup crew member told investigators about having to arrange medical care for guests who were too impaired to function. Another described being sent to retrieve personal items guests had left behind, items that could potentially link them to these events. A third detailed how they would monitor social media for any mentions of these gatherings and immediately contact anyone who posted even vague references. Court documents identify all 15 of these inner circle members by name, and the evidence against them appears to be substantial. 3 were longtime business partners who appeared in public with Diddy at industry events. 4 were employees whose official jobs gave no hint of their alleged actual responsibilities. The remaining 8 were friends whose proximity to Diddy gave them both status and significant financial benefits. Without these 15 people, the alleged activities could never have remained hidden for so long. As this case continues to unfold, the reactions from those named on the list reveal who has the most to fear. Some are issuing denials, others are hiding from public view, and a few are making desperate attempts to distance themselves from connections that are increasingly impossible to deny. Hollywood is experiencing an earthquake right now, and the aftershocks are changing everything. This isn't like other celebrity scandals that blow over in a few weeks. The power structure that's existed for decades is literally crumbling in real time. People who were untouchable 2 weeks ago are suddenly finding their calls ignored. Studios that would have bent over backward to accommodate certain names are now quietly looking for replacements. I spoke with executives at 3 major studios who confirmed they're conducting complete internal reviews of everyone they work with who appears on the list. 1. Studio has created a special committee just to assess their risk exposure. They're going through every contract, every project in development, and making contingency plans for what happens if certain names become too toxic to work with. My source at one streaming platform told me they've already shelved 2 completed films featuring actors from Category 3. These movies are just sitting on servers, millions of dollars invested with no release.